Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Brianna M. Hill here today to talk about a really important topic, and that's timing. More specifically, when the timing isn't right. This is a really important subject, especially for online selling, sales in general, but specifically here, I'm going to address this topic about when the timing isn't right, especially when you're communicating in a digital marketing space. So throughout this recording, I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about what I mean by the timing not being right. What does it mean when you hear this from somebody? What not to do when you receive this information? Other things that you can do and important considerations to keep in mind. So let's go ahead and jump right in. A lot of times you'll be working, you have a product, you have this great business, you have this wonderful offer, and you're doing a sales call, you're having a conversation with somebody, they sound really, really interested, or you've been trying to get through and you finally get that call with that important person at the company, and they're answering your questions, they're asking great questions, they just seem really, really excited, and it's awesome. It feels really good when somebody is interested in your offer. But then once we've gone through this process and you think, yeah, we've got something going here, all of a sudden you hear, thank you so much, but the timing isn't right for us right now. Oof, that can be incredibly deflating. That can feel really, really rough. So let's talk a little bit about what this means. A lot of times we feel like people are using this as a polite way to say no thank you. And in some cases, that may be true. Sometimes a lot of people don't like to just directly say no or no thank you, especially if they're polite and decent people. Although we all have our patience limits, I suppose. But we've all been on that call where somebody might be selling you something or offering you the new type of health insurance or an extended warranty on your car, and you just, no thank you. Timing's not right for me right now on this one. Or it could be more subtle of, going over to a friend's house when they're having a party and they're sharing some of your products, or they're sharing something that they offer, and it seems kind of cool, but you just ran your budget and it's just not a good time for you right now. And sometimes that's just the case. And that's really, really okay. It's a great way to still be polite and maintain a friendship without having to worry about any of that high pressure sales conversation. However, when you're in a less personal context and maybe having a conversation with I just have to cut in right here and say this is hilarious. I'm getting a phone call from Scam Likely of somebody trying to sell me an extended car warranty as I'm talking about this. That's just timing, isn't it? Anyways, so when you come to this, timing isn't right, and you're not necessarily on a personal level or a smaller level, but you're in your business, you're a salesperson or you're a solopreneur, you are the business and you're trying to sell this product or service to somebody, and they say, the timing just isn't right. And maybe that's the case. People are complex human beings. We all have so much going on in life right now. You never know what phone call that person just came off of. You never know if they were up all night with a screaming child or a difficult situation, or if they have some kind of family emergency going on and they just don't have the capacity to make that decision right now. So I think this is really important, is that when someone says the timing isn't right, that may really literally mean the timing isn't good right now for them. So for example, I've been on quite a few sales calls lately, and in the last few months, and one of them specifically was before all of the coronavirus shutdown situations, was some folks were trying to get me to apply to speak at their event and to be a part of their event. It was in Las Vegas. They're offering awards for certain things. It sounded very, very cool and very interesting. However, the exact dates correlate on my due date for when I'm set to be having a baby. So obviously that's not necessarily something I could fly to and doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense in my schedule. However, these people kept calling me and calling me and calling me. And as many times as I told them that that timing just isn't going to work, I can't be there on those dates, they just kept pushing me as to be why, oh, okay, well, you don't have to be here. And here's all the reasons. It would be incredibly important for your business, but you really have to be there. And that's one of those things that, yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to do that next year. But, for very obvious reasons, it doesn't make sense to do it this year. But that's a very difficult conversation to have sometimes. And the person on the other end of the phone never asked those questions or made those acknowledgments or even gave me the opportunity to explain the situation. So with that story, I'm sure you've been in one of those as well. Let's go ahead and move into what not to do when someone tells you that the timing isn't right. And I think this is fairly obvious, but don't be pushy about it. I know a lot of times in sales trainings, they say, the first no is just, a lot of times people will say no because they want you to keep selling them or keep pushing this, or they have you keep pushing until you get a hard no or something like that. But, that's kind of, people don't like that. You don't want to feel salesy. You don't want to feel icky. You don't want to have to deal with that piece. You want to have a genuine conversation with somebody. So if they say it doesn't work for them, don't be pushy about it. You also don't have to be mean. Perhaps that's a date that's a very difficult date for them for an anniversary, if it's an event at a certain time. Or perhaps the service just, they really, really want to do it, but there's a certain issue with the budget in their company, or they have something going on with a family member and they just don't want to talk about it, but they don't want to have that conversation right now. So those are certain things, don't be pushy, because that's a really great way to push away a potential prospect. You want to keep in mind your brand reputation too. Perhaps the timing isn't right for this person right now, but it could be in a year. You don't want to be mean or write them off or ruin that relationship altogether. You want to leave that door open. That's a really important thing to do. So with that, we'll go ahead and move right into things you do want to do when somebody has that conversation with you and perhaps says, well, the timing isn't right. Check in with them, hey, totally understand, what kind of stuff do you got going on? You can open that door to start that conversation where they can perhaps explain, I've got a situation going on right now. Stuff is really tight with the business, got a family thing going on right now. And you can offer alternative options, such as totally understand, let's follow up in 6 months, or, when's a better time that we can connect about this again? Or, hey, totally, that makes sense. You can't offer this product right now. Why don't you join our Facebook group? And when the timing is right for you, we'll be available for any questions or support that you may need. So those are all pieces you can do to really just help nurture that relationship. Because sometimes the timing isn't right, really is, worst case scenario, somebody just politely trying to say no, or best case scenario, they're interested, but they really just can't do it right now. So have that empathy and keep that in mind when you're working with people, especially on digital. These conversations are hard enough in person, and when you're dealing with them over email or a Facebook chat, you want to make sure that you're being as conscientious of your tone as possible. So in summary, we talked about today why it is so important or what to do when somebody tells you that the timing isn't right. When you're having a sales conversation, especially in the digital world, it's really important to have empathy and understand that the timing may just not be right for various reasons for that person. What does it mean? It could be a polite way of saying no thank you, or it really could mean exactly what it says it means. The best thing to do when you get this response is not to then be pushy or mean or necessarily write that person off as a no. What you can do is check in with them, offer alternatives, and see if there's a better time to follow up with them. Nurture that relationship and make notes in your CRM system. So with that, have some empathy, have a wonderful rest of your day, and have great conversations. Thanks so much.